Now we move on to our series on the paranormal. 3 out of 4 Americans believe in some kind of paranormal activity. But what about reincarnation, being reborn in the body of another? Half of Americans believe, half do not. And if you're one of these skeptics, try to explain how a little boy could know specific details about a fighter pilot who lost his life more than 60 years ago. It's a story you have to see to believe.
Okay, this is really tough. I need somebody to help me.
All right, I'm the volunteer. What do you want me to do?
Okay, I'm just gonna climb this thing and you have to hold me in case I fall.
Done.
This is James Leininger at 6, all boy and all spirit.
This is a special plane. It goes in reverse. You don't see a lot of that.
James knows a lot about planes, especially war planes.
What kind of airplane is that?
It's a Corsair.
His parents, Andrea and Bruce Leininger, say from an early age, James would play with nothing else.
He was obsessed with airplanes. If you look around the house, that's all you'll see. Airplanes, helicopters, aircraft carriers.
But then, when he was 2, the planes James loved suddenly began to give him frequent and frightening nightmares.
I'd wake him up and he'd be screaming and he'd always be laying on his back, kicking his feet up at the ceiling. And I'd say, "Baby, what were you dreaming about?" He'd say, "Airplane crash on fire, little man can't get out."
They sound like typical kiddie nightmares, but Andrea says they went on the same way for months. Maybe too much TV. But James was just 2 and his parents say only watching Barney and Teletubbies.
Teletubbies!
And Andrea and Bruce say they weren't watching World War II documentaries or conversing about military history.
This is an F-18?
No, that one.
So what explains the nightmares and James's strange obsession with airplanes?
I talked to my mom about it a lot of times. My mom had said maybe he's remembering a past life.
What did you say?
Politely, baloney.
But as time went by, Andrea didn't know what to believe. Here's James at age 3 going over a plane as if he's doing a pre-flight check. He would continue to say and do things that were puzzling, like the time his mom bought him a toy airplane.
And I said, "Oh, look, there's a bomb on the bottom of it." He said, "That's not a bomb, Mama, that's a drop tank."
A drop tank?
I'd never heard of a drop tank. I didn't know what a drop tank was.
His parents say between the ages of 2 and 4, James would reveal extraordinary details about the life of a former fighter pilot, James M. Houston Jr., mostly at bedtime when he was drowsy.
Bruce said, "What happened to your plane?" He said, "It crashed on fire." And Bruce said, "Why did your airplane crash?" And he said, "It got shot." And Bruce said, "Well, who shot your plane?" And I'll never forget the look on his face. He went, "Oh, the Japanese."
So what do you believe now about your son James?
I believe that he had a past life. I believe that in his past life he was James M. Houston Jr. And he came back because he wasn't finished with something. And that's essentially what I believe.
And he's not the only one. This is Ann Barron, the sister of pilot James Houston. She has met the Leiningers and can come up with only one plausible explanation for James's past life memories.
The child was so convincing and coming up with all these things that there's no way in the world he could know unless there is a spiritual thing.
Today, James is 8 years old and finally free from the painful memories of James Houston Jr.'s death. The nightmares have stopped, but his love of airplanes continues to grow.